today we are talking about Season 4, Episode 10, Lisa's First Word.
That's right. So it is a flashback episode where they are looking back to that far-off year of 1983 when Lisa was born. And we learn what her first words were because they're having a conversation at the beginning about trying to get Maggie to talk, and Maggie's not talking, as we know she never does. And then it came up, well, what was my first word?
Or does she?
Well, we'll talk about that. So they reenact the story of how Lisa said her first word, and there's a bunch of jokes going on in that whole setup. So let's kick it off with lines. What is your first best line?
I have it all figured out. The new baby can sleep in Bart's crib, and he can sleep with us until he's 21.
Won't that mess him up? Right. Well, my cousin did it, and he turned out, he joined the cult, right. Something like that.
My cousin Frank did it. You don't have a cousin Frank.
Well, now he's Francine after that change.
So
yeah. That's it says it all right there.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
What about your
chip, which for sale?
I knew you were going to go
chocolate
with the
chip
guy.
or oatmeal raisin.
So they flash back to 1983, and it's like the slums of New York or something, and they're doing all these jokes about how it's like old-timey, but it really isn't. The kids are like, oh, let's play stickball, and then they're actually at a video game playing.
They run to the arcade, and the arcade has stickball and kick the can.
Yeah. Well, this is one of them vendors that you would see, like on the streets of a big city, but you think he's selling something exotic, but it's actually a ice cream sandwich. But I just like, cheap, which for sale. I had to go with it. There it is.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
What about 2?
Why did you come to me? I really don't know nothing. I used to get by on my looks. Now they're gone. Withered away like an old piece of fruit. That was Grandpa.
Grandpa.
Because Homer went to Grandpa to try and get some advice or some assistance trying to buy a new house. Because the family is expanding with Lisa on the way, and that was Grandpa's response.
His lament.
Yep, he used to get by on his good looks.
Which is funny in itself.
What about you?
Alright, it is Maggie. I'll give you this cookie if you talk. Don't! Okay, you win round 7. So they try to get Maggie to talk, and Homer's dangling a cookie, and then Maggie fakes him out and takes the cookie and eats it. And she must have actually faked him out 7 times.
She does the classic look over there without saying a word.
Yeah, and he fell for it.
7 times, apparently. Sounds about right for Homer.
Yep. So,
yep.
There it is. All right, you got any like bonus ones this time?
Well, it was more of a back and forth, but at the beginning they were trying to get Maggie to talk, and everybody's like, Mom, say Dad, say Lisa, can you say get bent, Bart says, and Marge says, that's not very nice, and then he says, what? Mr. Rogers says it all the time. It's pretty good.
Love it. Well, mine is, Bart can kiss my hairy yellow butt.
Which sometimes has been uttered on.
It might have been uttered at the cat or something on occasion around here. Maybe.
And also gets repeated on Matt Groening's other show, Futurama, in a different manner with your favorite character, Bender.
Yep.
Only not yellow butt.
Shiny metal. Okay, well, let's get into our favorite scenes.
Oh, that was a tough one. There were so many great scenes in this. I'm going to go with when they were looking for houses and real estate, and they end up with the sea captain on a houseboat, and he's asking them, why do you want a house when you can have a houseboat? And then giant shark, like Jaws, comes out of the water, and then he says, "Oh, excuse me," and gets this knife and jumps. He dives, like swan dives into the water, and then soon after he's up in the shark's mouth, and he's like, "Check out the galley. It's something to see with the shark
while he's
carpet."
fighting Jaws.
Yeah. So that's my favorite scene. What about you?
My favorite scene is Krusty when there's this whole plot about how the Olympics is coming and they're going to give a free burger in these certain rounds of the Olympics if an American wins. But they're like, oh, we'll be smart. We'll give it to these events where only Soviets have always won, where only communists dominate. And then, of course, the Soviets, the Russians, didn't do the 1984 Olympics. They boycotted it. And so Krusty goes on the air after this has been going on through the whole Olympics. He's like losing $40 million. And he's like, "You people are pigs. I am personally going to spit in every 50th burger."
And Homer says, "I'll take those odds."
Yeah. And there's Krusty Burger memorabilia all over the floor, and when he's watching TV, so he's been getting
empty boxes,
free burgers left and right. And then there's a swimming pool, where they're showing the Olympic swimming event, and all the Americans are like fish, and then the other competitors are like drowning, and the announcer's like, "Well, they're from a country that doesn't actually have swimming pools." So the whole thing was so funny to me that's why I went with it. All right, that takes us to winners and losers. How would you like to do that this week?
Let's go with your loser first.
My loser is the Sublime Swede. So going back to that whole Olympics thing, Drederick Tatum, as we've seen in the show before, is like the great boxer on the show. And apparently there was no competition that was fierce enough to do Drederick Tatum, and his only competition was the Sublime Swede, who is this little skinny looking dude with long hair, and he's laying out on the mat, and Drederick Tatum's like, "Yay!" And you can tell he didn't have a very good boxing match.
Nope.
And so, yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to be that guy. So he definitely was my loser.
It's true.
What about your loser?
Losers were tough for me because there were so many options. And so I'm going to go with Bart because I'm going to go with Bart and myself because Homer built Bart a clown bed. And I hate clowns.
You're not a clown fan.
No. So I'm going with Bart for that reason alone. There were other reasons, he, has to be in Flanders' house and he's in bed with Rod and Todd for a sleepover while Lisa's being born and Rod and Todd are singing and it's just crazy stuff like that. But it wasn't, he had his ups and downs in this episode for sure, but because of the clown bed, I'm going with Bart.
That put him very much over the top, yeah. Good pull. I liked it. So that takes us to our winner, and my winner was Webster. because Flanders shows up when the Simpsons first move into their house, and it's like Rod and Todd and Flanders has an "I Love Webster" shirt on. And it was so silly, but I'm like, well, Flanders loves Webster, so he got some love.
Mm-hmm. It's true, from Flanders.
Yeah.
That was actually one of my scenes that I wrote down because I loved that first meeting and the memory of Flanders coming to welcome the Simpsons to the neighborhood, and he and Todd show up and they're singing a song that they made up, but it's to the Wizard of Oz tune, and I can't remember it all right now, but it was pretty great.
Flanders was almost my loser because of the TV trade.
Yep.
But I'm like, nah, I got to go with Webster. So.
Yep. Good plan.
Who's your winner then?
Scratchy.
Ha-ha!
Because Itchy and Scratchy do an episode of the Olympics, basically. And Scratchy wins, even though he loses
Even though he's just a skeleton.
Even though he's just a skeleton, because Itchy pegged his tail down, and as he went for the long run, his skeleton came out of his skin, but he ended up winning the race, and then he ends up on the Wheaties box, which used to happen in the 80s when Olympic winners would show up on the Wheaties box.
Yeah,
it's a
he got
huge
his
thing.
picture
So,
on that, so that's, you can't beat that. That's a big deal. I love it. Those are some good ones.
oh boy.
And a quick, I guess, trivia note that I actually didn't look it up. It was something I had in the back of my mind. But at the end of the episode, Maggie actually says her word. And it's Dada. You know who did that
I
voice?
forget.
Elizabeth Taylor.
That's right. I knew it was somebody big, and I was like,
I remember watching this back in the day, and they made a big deal about that in the commercial. Elizabeth Taylor guest stars on The Simpsons, because it was back when they were starting to do like celebrities do voices, and they made a big deal. And I remember thinking it was one word, wasn't it? But that was it. So anyway,
but it got people to watch to listen for Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it was
the
just
very last.
Yeah.
Very last word of the episode.
Yeah, so something cool.
Good.
All right, that's our episode for this week. Lisa's first word. Good stuff. I like
So
it.
that's season 4, episode 10. We will come with episode 11 next week for you. And don't forget to subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you liked the episode. Make some comments. Send us a message or let us know what you think. And until next time,
Jiminy Tillikers!
Here we are for another episode of Coming Up Milhouse. And there he goes. Maybe.
Maybe
He
he'll
might
sit this
stay.
time. There you go.
There he is. Here's your ribbon. Yep, this is what we do to try and get Vincent to be in the episode. He used to come and just hang out with us, but he didn't. It depends on the episode, I think.
Yep.
Depends on if he wants to be in the show or not. Bye.